Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back. I am your host, Mr. Jason Black. Pull up a seat to the table. It's time for us to discuss some business. Now, very briefly here, I got a lot of feedback from my previous program talking about why most women today are side chicks. Most of the people there were completely sensible, although there were the predictable contingent of individuals because they were misraised by their mothers primarily, never had a father in the home to be able to see, okay, this is how a protector and a provider views women. And this is the reason why my father decided to become a man who sacrifices resources to support this woman. You never saw an example of that in the real world in your daily lives. You didn't grow up under that. So there was a lot of rage posting from some individuals. There was some silliness involved there. Some of the females who very clearly were single moms and very upset. And let's just be very clear. The reason why I made this channel The Business was specifically so that younger females could get the game, because you older chicks who have aged out, you're set in your ways, you're stuck on stupid, and you are determined to see everybody else fail because you have. You have refused to let go of your failed policies and failed practices. And you've even passed this on to the sons to turn them into the male simps that you wished you could have found. Not to turn your sons into producers, but to turn them into feckless, hapless, helpless simps who are not desired by women because they don't produce, and they cannot even form mutually beneficial relationships with other men because the other men can see, well, I gotta carry this fool. I'm not going to do that. So that's why we have this channel, The Business. So I was going to do a mailbag about this and go over some of the comments, but I won't do that except to address one thing. There were some people, I've noticed some people bandying about the term pimp. And let's just be very clear. If your only frame of reference to a male who is able to entertain the company of multiple females is a pimp, first of all, that's really out of fashion, out of style. It's totally anachronistic. It's totally out of place in the modern era. But also is just plain wrong. This is just manhood. I know this is a foreign concept to many of you, but a man is able to choose the level and manner in which he deals with females. He's got control of his life. Now, I know a lot of you are not really used to having control of your lives, but a man has control of his life, and that includes his level of interaction with females. He's got control of his life. So for you to talk about pimps, you're really talking about that as some really fantasy-based hypothetical, because that's not the way the pimps operate. This is grown man stuff. Most of you are not used to being a man who has options. So if your only frame of reference for a man having options among females is pimping, it's like, wow, you need the business more than anybody else. So go ahead, grab a seat, pull on up, and let's get you sorted out here. Or as I like to say, this is the business. We're going to balance your books. And that's what we're going to do here. Now, what I want to deal with here, I really wanted to hold this program because I wanted to discuss a couple of things here. I wanted to discuss why beggars can't be choosers and what it is that makes a woman look up to you. I want to deal with that second one first, because most of the guys listening to me right now, you have been miseducated. You haven't had a man who was admired by women raise you so that you could see his daily example and see what it was that women admired about him. Women admire a man who has mastery of the environment and the world around him. If a man is socially struggling, he's socially awkward, he can't get people to cooperate with him, he's the guy that people try to get away from because he's so bland, boring, nerdy, awkward. People don't want to be in awkward situations all the time. So people avoid him. Well, the woman doesn't look up to you. She doesn't admire you. Why? Because other people don't look up to you and don't admire you. Therefore, she doesn't. You ever notice that women don't really quibble about what it is the man excels at? If a man how many women watch the Olympics? They can't swim, they can't do gymnastics, but they admire the men who can. Well, yeah, but she admires him because she sees all these other people who admire him. That's the difference. Very key difference for you to keep in mind. But most of you didn't understand that, which is why we have the business now, so that you understand what are women's true motives. When a woman sees you academically struggling, you're not very bright, you're not very educated, you can't pick up a field of study and excel at it, nobody listens to you. Nobody takes your educational advice. Nobody learns anything from you. So when you start talking, people start tuning out. Nobody sits and listens to you. Your woman doesn't admire you. Why? Because other people don't admire you. They don't look up to you. Other people don't look up to you socially, don't admire you socially. Your woman doesn't look up to you socially and doesn't admire you socially. Other people don't look up to you academically, don't admire you academically, don't admire your intelligence. Your woman doesn't look up to your intelligence and doesn't admire it. It's really simple math. And oh yeah, the thing that she has to live with every day, because we live in a world that runs on money, financially, you have proven to be a failure. Other people don't admire you financially, don't look up to you financially. So guess what? Women don't admire you financially and don't look up to you financially. They may pity you, but they don't look up to you and they don't admire you. And a man, one of our chief goals should be to develop ourselves so that people admire us. What does admire mean? It simply means they want to be like you. They want to be like you. A woman feels that her life has meaning and that she is validated by the quality and caliber of man that she is with, because her man is a direct reflection of her. If her man is admired and looked up to by other people, then she sees that as a reflection on her. That this man who is admired and looked up to has chosen her. So this goes back to a woman respects you for your accomplishments. Developing yourself to the point that you are socially admired, educationally admired, intellectually admired, emotionally admired, and financially admired. When you've developed yourself to that point, those are accomplishments. And when you develop that as a total package, don't try to leave one of those out. When you developed all of those dimensions of yourself, you've accomplished something. The woman admires you. You're on your square. You're able to keep her on hers. You've elevated your game. She now knows you're a man who's qualified to help her to elevate hers. She admires you. She admires you. Now, most of you didn't grow up in a home with a man, period. And if you did, he wasn't a man who was admired. So instead, you've grown up hearing criticisms of men without actually understanding what the criticism was about. Or in many cases, because your mama couldn't do any better than the dusty, bummy reprobate that she was with, who fathered you. All you've been subjected to are her criticisms and her venom and her vitriol, without understanding what was the real problem, because your mama didn't want to tell you the truth, because she didn't want to say, I wanted a guy who was more accomplished. If I could have been with a guy who was more accomplished, I'd have been a lot happier. Instead, I had to settle for your damn daddy. Because I got pregnant, because I was being young and stupid and having reckless sex, because I thought that was the thing to do, and then I got snookered. But listen to somebody who's going to tell you the truth about this. Fellas, a woman cannot and will not submit to your personality. I'm saying this slow and dragging it out so you can understand that. A woman cannot and will not submit to your personality. Your personality is worthless. It's worthless because its value is subjective. On Monday, she might love your personality and your wit and your ability to make jokes. But on Wednesday, she may not be in a mood to hear no damn jokes. She's looking at the rent, or the kids have a math problem that needs to be solved, and you're not prepared or capable to deal with any of that. All she sees then is a man who isn't able to lead. Your personality, your ability to make jokes, and your ability to pontificate about ancient Kemet, that all of a sudden she don't want to hear that mess. You're a one-trick pony, and right now you're losing the election. So you need to be developed in all those dimensions and avenues of accomplishment. But she cannot submit to your personality. She can submit to your accomplishments, but not your personality. Your personality is a factor in your being, but she cannot submit to that. Let me say this in more plain and simple English. If you cannot or are unable to reward a female for compliance, then you also don't have the ability to punish her for open defiance. Okay, I know that kind of rhymed there, but if you can't reward a female for compliance, you also can't punish her for defiance. Let's be very clear. She knows this way before you come to that revelation. When she met you, she already was painfully aware of your ability to reward her or your inability to reward her. In other words, if she's not gonna lose anything by making you upset or by defying you, then there's no incentive for her not to do so. For a lot of you guys that you have not developed and matured, you're financially struggling, you're socially awkward, you're in denial of this because you're a weak man in a strong world, and you're trying to figure out how you can get unearned benefits. It don't work that way. Fellas, women don't submit to men. Oh, that's news to a lot of you. Let me say that one more time. Women do not submit to men. This has been true throughout history. This is why your red pill community, specifically from whites, doesn't deal with that subject matter about female submission. They don't deal with that in regard to men because women don't submit to men. They submit to accomplishments. And they don't really discriminate who they get the accomplishments, i.e. benefits and tangibles from. This is true throughout history. This is why it was a criminal offense for white women to sleep with black men, because white society understood very early on, European colonizers understood very early on, that the women would go with whoever was the strongest man. They would go with the one most able to protect and provide for her. That women don't have ethnic allegiance. Their allegiance is to themselves, not to an ethnicity. Now, of course, yes, you do have culture, and that can be a strong influence. However, absent culture, if the woman is left by herself, as a rule, they don't have ethnic allegiance. They have personal interests. Now, it is men who created the concept of ethnic allegiance and choosing mates based upon ethnic allegiance. But that's not the prime motivating factor for women. Never has been. Only in the whole of a greater society. When you have an intact patriarchy, then the women adhere to ethnic allegiance, which is why the first thing that in this Eurocentric society that we live in, this Eurocentric world culture we live in, when they want to destabilize non-white groups, the first thing that they do is decimate the males, because the females are going to fall in line. So you don't have to take down everybody. Just destabilize the males' influence in the society, their ability to make rules, destabilize them, and everything else goes to hell. And you step right in, and now you're lording over everybody. That's a strategy that is very, very old. But it's a strategy that works because as a group, women do not have ethnic allegiance. They do not submit to men simply because you're a man. They submit to accomplishments. They submit to a man's abilities, not to the man. They don't submit to the man. They submit to the man's abilities. If you are a capable man, she has something to submit to. If you are an incapable man, and you're just going to have to swallow this reality, if you are an incapable man, there is not, by definition, there's nothing to submit to. By definition. Now, this is going to be something that's going to hurt a lot of your feelings here because it introduces another concept. Do people have the same value? Does one woman have the same value as any other? Do all females have the same value? Well, the obvious answer is absolutely no. Some females are worth more than others. Some females are more valuable than others. Some females are more desired than others because you're more valuable. You're able to contribute more. You're able to elevate a man's status. You're able to maintain that which he has produced. That gives you your value to a man. Well, inversely, do all men have the same value? Oh, this is going to hurt a lot of feelings, particularly those of you who were born to single mothers, never saw a male example. Your mama couldn't teach you anything about manhood because she's not a man. Now you're out here in a world competing for women's attention with other men. Now, by definition, you have no choice about whether or not you're competing. You are going to compete for female attention because females are going to discriminate about which males they choose. You're not going to have the ability to just walk up on a female and she's good to go. That's not the way it works, even for the ones y'all classify as hoes, and you're correct to do so. But just understand, there's going to be some type of value judgment made. Some type. So by definition, you are going to be competing in some way. And if you want the most desirable females, and desirable doesn't necessarily mean that she's devastating good looking, although that definitely counts. But if you want the most desirable females, then you're going to have to compete because there are a limited number of them and other males want them. You got a bunch of guys who want to have more than one female. So what he does is he begins stockpiling ability. He begins amassing massive reservoirs of excess ability. Yeah, he's got the ability to comfortably take care of one woman, but he's gotten himself into a social, intellectual, mental, emotional, and socioeconomic position to be able to comfortably sustain excess benefits for 5 women. So therefore, you're now in a sexual marketplace where it's not a 1-to-1 ratio of guys to gals, even among the most desirable guys and gals. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio because you've got guys who are able to grant greater benefits than you, who have greater accomplishments and greater ability. You're competing against them. The ones who want to have access to more than one female. Now you're competing for that because you're like, well, okay, that guy's got one female. Just because that guy has a woman doesn't mean that that leaves more women for you or that you are no longer in competition with him. If he's got excess abilities, he's still in competition. The title is still in contention. This is tough for a lot of you guys to hear. This is hard because you wanted to hear that something's going to be given to you and that your mammy's hand-to-mouth existence was something that you'd be able to live under. Understand the rules that work for your mammy ain't going to work for you. So unless you are just going to be celibate, which that's an option, and I think a lot of you should consider it based on some of the things I've read and seen, please remove yourselves from the gene pool, please. But if you want female company, and specifically if you want desirable female company, then you're going to be, by definition, competing for it. You're going to be in competition. You will be. Now, the real question is, do you want to be able to compete at a high level, or do you want to be a struggler who's losing the race every time you go out there and hoping that there's some charity ribbon to be given to you afterward? Because a lot of you guys are complaining about the females, but let's just keep it real. You're not complaining about the females. You're complaining that, well, Jason, I can get female attention, but I'll be damned, she looks like the Me Too chick and Sida Bay. I'm getting low quality female compliance. Yeah, I can get a chick, but it's a chick don't nobody want. It's not a chick I'm trying to be seen with. It's not a chick who makes me feel that my value has elevated. Let's just keep it real, fellas. That's where you at. So I'm here to bring you the business so you can elevate out of that. But you're going to have to face some realities here. And reality number one, if a female is desirable, then by definition, she has something of value. So by definition, she is going to want to get maximum rewards that are in proportion to the value that she brings. She is going to want that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you had a daughter, you would be teaching her the exact same thing. If you're not, then you're one of the people out here creating all of these low-level females that you complain about. You're going to create a low-value daughter and then complain about all these other people who have presented you with their low-value daughters, because this will become a race to the bottom for some of you. But as men, understand, a woman is not going to submit to a man. She is going to submit to a man's abilities, which means first and foremost, you must cultivate your ability to deliver so that the woman can see, okay, this is what he's got. And by contrast, this is what I've got to lose. Let's be very, very clear. That is the only real leverage you have. A woman can choose to sacrifice your personality. She can sacrifice you for somebody with the personality of a damn dish rag. She can make that decision. That's a sacrifice she'd be willing to make. Most women are vain and self-centered anyway, and they'd much rather talk to you about themselves than to hear anything you doing. So your personality is not leveraged because of female vanity. Oh, that was a tough pill for you to swallow. Well, swallow this damn thing. Straight, no chaser. Your personality has no value and no leverage because she is perfectly willing. Take a look at the 5 guys she dated before you. Take a look at the 5 guys she was with before you. Were there any of them that you would consider to have had less of a personality than you? If the answer is no, then guess what? You're only seconds away from losing her because your chick is up for grabs. Because you've got the least personality and no financial ability. Your broad is just there until somebody offers her a Twinkie. And she's out the door. And she's hoping that Mr. Twinkie can help her get in touch with somebody who can upgrade her to a Nutty Buddy. See if she can swing through the candy shop till she gets some tangibles. So if you're the lowest rung on the ladder, you just marking time until you're out of the game completely. Now, if your answer was yes, that she dated guys who had a lesser personality than you, then what does that tell you? She's also willing to accept someone with a lesser personality. She met their personality first, and yet she still got with them. So that tells you what? Personality isn't the prime motivator for her. If you actually think these things through, you'll realize that, oh, that's not the prime motivator. It matters, but it's not the deal breaker. I can't bet the farm on my ability for my personality to enrapture her. I can't bet the farm on that. I can't do it. I can't do it. So what you are going to have to do is understand the most potent form of leverage that you have is your ability to transform a woman's life. Now, let's be very, very clear. Transforming a woman's life, and this is where you need to take notes. Now, the ADHD kids, the broke bummy dudes who are only, I can't really do nothing here. You're trying to make excuses for your poverty. Well, if your life is impoverished, you will attract a female who is impoverished. That's the way it works. And just don't complain. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just saying don't come in my comment section complaining that women will not tolerate you in your impoverished state. Just don't come complaining. Get out there and be the best broke bummy dude you can be. But don't complain about the results. And don't complain about your predictable frustration. You can be very angry and upset and very hostile, but hey, go be the best broke bummy ass dude you can be and go see how much you can get for your bummy ass personality. See how much women value it. And then don't complain. Whatever happens next, don't come in my comment section complaining. I'm not here to listen. Your ability to transform a woman's life comes in one of two forms. And for the best men, you utilize both. Number one is proximity. This is the first thing. A woman wants a man that is admired by others. Those are your accomplishments. However, because it reflects on her, internally as well as externally, she puts value on that. So just having proximity to you, as a man of abilities, as a man of resources, as a man of accomplishments, as a man who is admired for all of those things, she benefits merely by having proximity to you. And the closer her proximity, and let's be clear, there's no closer proximity than sharing your bed. She's with you even when you're asleep. There's no closer proximity than that. So the first form of upgrading and changing a woman's life that she can measure is proximity. If she's got proximity to you, she values that. She's got proximity to a producer. I'm right next to the seat of power. I'm right next to where the action is. She values that. And that is social status. Remember what I've taught you all. A woman doesn't gain social status by what she does for herself. She gains social status by the value and quality of the man that she is able to attract into her life. So just your proximity, just your presence, if you are a man of production and abilities, just the presence of a man of production and ability changes her life, elevates her social status, makes other women admire her because she is with a man who is admired. Now, I know this is a foreign concept for a lot of you who grew up without a dad. You ain't never seen a man be admired, but understand, just sit back and listen. We're giving you the real here. Your mama left you hanging, but we're here to help you if you're willing to listen. The second way, the first means is by proximity, and the second means is by direct tangible benefits. I don't want to call it gifting, so I will simply say presentation or presenting you, presenting to you. So proximity to you and being able to present things to her. Now that's where we get into what you are tangibly able to do. That other females ain't got it, but she's got it solely as a consequence of you. Let's be very, very clear. Ain't nothing for a woman to brag about by buying herself a pair of shoes. She'll go to work and tell the girls, if they do notice it, oh, that's nice. There's nothing to say. Because remember, most females do not tell each other where they buy stuff. Remember what I told you all before in the side chick video, females are cutthroat. They're not, if she bought a nice dress, she's not going to tell the others where she got it. She's got nice jewelry. She's not going to tell them where she got it. She's not. But you know the real reason, and tonight I'm about to drop something new on you. I'm about to drop something new on you. And this should really go in my upcoming series, The Dark Arts of Game. But a woman isn't going to brag on something she bought for herself, usually because where she bought it and the means by which she bought it ain't nothing to brag on. And that's the real truth of it. She don't really want to talk about it because it's not anything to brag on. Now, if her man got it, oh, that changes things. Oh, we've encountered a twofold status increase. Because number one, the man is usually going to get it from a place that is exclusive and adds to the value of it. That's the first thing. So if the man gets it, he's probably aiming for Saks Fifth Avenue. I don't want to say Nordstrom's anymore, but he's probably aiming for Saks or something like that. At the very least, Macy's. But he ain't going to, a man's not really going to brag about taking you to Kohl's or JCPenney or J. Crew. That's not really going to be the first thing that comes to his mind. But he's probably going to try to take you to a place, especially if it's a man of means and he understands his value, he wants his woman to reflect that value. So yeah, she's going to look right. If he's got anything to say about it, she's going to look right. So number one, when she gets to work, oh, she's going to let the girls know where she got this. She's going to let the girls know where she got that Ralph Lauren or whatever. She's going to let them know. She's going to make sure they knew what she got and where she got it. Because she's going to let them know first and foremost, by the way, my producer, I am of such value, I don't have to buy these things. I have a producer who buys it for me. And the rest of you gals don't. Let's just be very, very clear. The female's gonna flex. They're gonna flex. So you see, that's the other side of transforming her life. Before now, she was with the rest of the hens, sitting over there clucking. When she's got a man who provides, you can change her life by proximity or providing. Let's just say it like that. Throw the other ones I was saying out the window. The way in which you transform a woman's life is by proximity or providing. And if you're a man who provides and she has proximity, because a lot of chicks, you might be able to, you just see him when he tipped through. But that's the double whammy right there. Understand something. Now she has traveled into the world and she has presented that as her status. What does that status mean? That which elevates her above other women. She's not competing with men. She knows she's unable to compete with men. She's competing with other women. So your ability to change and upgrade her life through proximity and provision, proximity and providing, that's going to be something that changes the way she sees things. And it is the risk of losing that which will keep her up at night. It is the risk of losing that which has her heartbroken and depressed and eating the Haagen-Dazs for 6 months. It's the risk of losing that has her putting on the weight. And it's like, wow, she ain't getting her hair done like she's supposed to anymore. And her friends can see, oh, she used to be on point. She ain't like that anymore. When you're a man of value, you like having that ability. Can I just say that? Oh, did I say it? I'm saying it to you. When you are a man of accomplishment, a woman's life should change based upon your presence or lack thereof. Did you get that? That quality of life should hang in the balance of your presence or your lack thereof. Your personality is not going to raise her value. Whether you are admired by others in all those dimensions I listed, that's what raises your value and thus raises her stake in you. Case in point, and I don't want to gossip for very long here, but a real world example is Cyn Santana. The former rapper, now internet program mogul, I guess you call him. You can't really say mogul, but definitely well-known personality, Joe Budden. If y'all remember, he was dating Cyn Santana, and by the way, I predicted that was going to go bad because Cyn was dating women. Was she hanging out with Erica Mania and sucking on her? And I was like, okay, when he got with Cyn Santana, I was like, all right, you can start the countdown to when this relationship breaks up. But be that as it may, when she was with him, she was all over the place. She was posting videos. Oh, look, babe bought me this Mercedes. And guys, I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying you need to go buy a Mercedes per se. And I got to remind you again, TK Kirkland, I think, was on point. He said, I wouldn't buy a chick a Mercedes. I'd buy a Toyota Camry fully loaded. But then again, remember, guys, you're not competing against the rest of the world. You're competing against the last guy she was with. If the last guy got her a bus pass, you just have to do better than that. You do better than that, now she's got something to lose. It's like, okay, well, you don't appreciate this, back to the bus pass. But remember, it is your abilities that determine that. So Cyn Santana was a disciplinary problem. If you saw her on TV, she was very young but immature, disciplinary problem. Told herself she was the hottest thing out there. She got pregnant by Joe, had a kid, and then Joe was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm good. I'm back in the marketplace. And she found out that he was back seeing other women. She found out through Instagram that Joe was done with her. She tried to keep a stiff upper lip. She tried to keep a game face. She tried to make it seem like, that don't hurt. But you know that she done put on weight and her behavior is as erratic as ever, in some cases more. She's been putting up a bunch of Instagram posts that make it very, very clear that she misses her former status because she presented herself to the world in that way. Because of the status that he helped to elevate her to, that was what she presented herself to the world as. Once she lost that, next thing you know, this chick here talking about she wants to put out a music album. What's your credentials? Well, Cardi B, all right. She is still very much smarting. For those of you who don't know what smarting means, she's still very sore over the loss of this man. Now, she's not going to publicly come out and boohoo and cry about it. Women don't do that, which is why most women are messed up today, because if they actually had the courage to be able to publicly say, you know what, I was wrong, they would actually have the luxury of being, or at least the ability, at least they would have the option of being able to address their problems. But by being unwilling to even confess that there is a problem, you never gain the latitude to be able to address the problem. So She's refused to do that, but you can see from everything else in her life, she is very much hurting over the loss of that. This man had this big ass house up there, and was it New York or New Jersey? I want to say it was in New York though. He had this big ass house in New York, and now she's a single mom trying to convince the world how fly she still is, when very clearly a lot of the shine has tarnished on this vessel. What I'm telling you is that she is suffering from the loss of this man. Man in capital letters. Not of this man's genitalia. Not of his gender, which is too many of you are males out here raised by single mothers, and you're trying to go into the world with your gender the way females do, and then you're upset and angry and bitter and resentful that your gender has no value. Your accomplishments do, not your gender. She is lamenting the loss of this man. She is mourning the loss of this man. She is mourning the lack of his presence. She is mourning the lack of the status. She is mourning the lack of the ability to truly flex on other females. Because you can't flex when you got the same thing they got. Now you just a chick with a kid. Half these hoes out here today got that. Nothing special or desirable about you in that way anymore. You're losing. You're losing. So fellas, understand what women value. Stop trying to fight it. Understand it so that you can put yourself in the best position to have leverage. And you don't have to be a millionaire. You don't. But you cannot be in financial disarray. Remember, I read for you that report that said that as far as women are concerned, if you're making $40,000 a year or more, if you're a 30-year-old male and ain't making $40,000 a year, you need to reevaluate your life. Or if you think that $40,000 a year is big money, if you are a male in America today and you think that $40,000 a year is big money, dude, jump off a bridge with your hands tied behind your back. Please go play in traffic. Your life is a complete failure. If you think $40,000 a year or $50,000 a year is balling, please go drink bleach and drain cleaner. Make a cocktail. You're through, man. You're through. You're finished. Your life has been for nothing. It's been for nothing. People, we're suffering from a lack of ambition. You really are. I've already educated you all about the cars and the clothes and this, that, and the other stuff. All you have to do is show the female that your life is together. Once you do that, that's where your leverage comes from. But beggars cannot be choosers. Get that through your head. Beggars cannot be choosers. If you are begging, you will get the scraps and you will get the crumbs that are left on the table. And you'll be on the internet pretending you got females and you don't, complaining about what the females don't do for you and about how the females are all so messed up. I don't complain about the fact that money matters to females. Fellas, money matters to females the way that femininity and body matters to you as a male. You understand that you become the flip counterpart of the bummy ass complaining females that you complain about. You're complaining that the females are upset, but in reality, you're upset about the same thing. These chicks want me to have accomplishments. They want me to be financially stable. You sound just like these dumbass females talking about all these dudes want is a female who's cute and sexy and don't have kids. We're in the adult damn world, and we got a bunch of people over the age of 21. I dare to call them adults. A bunch of people over the age of 21 talking like a bunch of stupid kindergartners. This is like an episode of Sesame Street, the level of maturity that you're witnessing for some of these people out here. It's disgraceful. We are adults. In the adult world, we expect things of other adults. Period. That's called adulthood. In childhood, we expected nothing from you. We were supposed to be grooming you for adulthood. What's the difference between adulthood and childhood? We expect things of adults. And a bunch of you are adults telling people don't expect nothing of me. Well, you're a failure. And just don't get upset when we treat you and address you and give you cute little demeaning derogatory nicknames that identify you as a failure. That's all. Just don't get mad. Just don't get in your feelings and don't be mad. Be the best, well, dare I say it, be the best failure you can be. Be the best failure you can be. But let's be very clear about what it is that establishes you as someone that a female admires and looks up to. So you can understand, well, this is what they're looking for. Now, as a man, these are things you're supposed to have for yourself. These are things that actually you're supposed to do for yourself, and everyone around you is a beneficiary. The female just hopes that she will be the biggest beneficiary. But that's the way it works. A woman is not going to submit to a man. She's going to submit to a man's accomplishments. She's going to submit to a man's abilities. She wants to be near you, and she wants to be a direct recipient. But your only leverage with females is your ability to deny them your presence, to deny them your providing and your presence. You see, when you can pull that rug out from under them, things change. Things change. You see, as men, part of the problem is you all are bemoaning marriage and whatnot, and I'm not here to extol to you the virtues of marriage. But one of the things that marriage is marriage is a requirement that you go all in. That's the difference. Marriage is a requirement that you go all in. Men, as a group today, too many of you, because you've been miseducated by bastard baby makers and deadbeat dads, you don't have a concept of requiring that of females. During my last program, I talked about female orbiters. And how do you cultivate females to be orbiters? Because all you guys, the red pills told you that orbiters were a bad thing. But I'm like, wait a minute. Hypergamy is a word. Men can use hypergamy to their advantage the way that women do. Orbiter is a word. Women can use orbiters to their advantage, but guess what? So can men. Your red pillars and your MGTOWs, they haven't taught you that. Maybe it's time for you to spit out the red pill and come open the black book. I'm presenting you with the black book of game. So ingest this. Time for you to get learned up. Power is power. And you've been told that females have power and you're really just sitting back to be a victim of it. Or you use them as dating strategies. And I don't subscribe to the idea of dating strategies. I believe in life strategies. These are things you use everywhere. These skills I'm giving you, they work in business. They work in finance. They work in academics, in school. Oh yeah, and they work with male-female relations too. These things have cross-compatibility. So as I say, marriage is a means by which it requires both parties to go all in. And in the society that we have today, it puts much more obligation on men. You need to step your game up so that you are able to obligate the women to go all in. If you are unable or unwilling to do this, then yeah, you've got no leverage. But you have got to get used to the idea that you require them to go all in. Well, what does that mean? That means that this woman needs to publicly claim what you do. If she's got a Facebook or a Twitter, she needs to be out there. You need to make sure it's very clear that she goes out there and represents. One of the reasons that most of you guys, and I'm just going to be brutally frank, most of you males today are completely disposable, and you're angry at me for saying that you need to be able to financially provide, because that's one of the chief pillars that prevents you from being disposable. Because you're a financial failure, and rather than become a man who's not failing anymore, you want to hear somebody say, oh, that's okay, you can fail at this and you'll compensate with nothing else. No, nothing takes the place of being financially stable. Nothing takes the place of that. But you also need to make sure that the woman goes all in with linking her social status to you. Why is it that you think these NBA players, and I'm using that as an example because there's many others, we can go and show you all kinds of guys online who had girls sit up here and bust up their cars or whatever else. But the reason she did that is because she felt that no longer having access to him destroyed her status. And she didn't take it well because she's stuck in this schism. How do I go back and explain to my family and my friends that ain't the situation anymore? How long can I hold them off and bluff to them? How long can I do that? So yeah, she's upset and angry because you have required her to publicly go out and commit to you, to commit to her connection to you. So she's showing them the benefits that she received. Too many of you guys out here, you are not demanding that the female you fooling with go out in this world and flex and promote you and campaign for you. You're not demanding that. Too many of you are not insisting that the females that you are with, as a condition of being with you, they got to go out and represent. They got to go out and be all in. Consider it like politics. They have got to declare you their candidate. And too many of you, because you have nothing to offer, she's got nothing to go and campaign to the masses for on your behalf. Therefore, when she decides to be defiant, which will be very soon, you're looking stupid and she's got no regrets. So as a man, a woman is supposed to regret not having access to you anymore. A woman is supposed to regret no longer being in your proximity. A woman is supposed to regret not having you anymore. She's supposed to regret that. What I'm saying is a woman is supposed to have something to lose. She is supposed to have something irreplaceable to lose, and your personality ain't it. Your personality ain't it. You see, when you raise a woman's social status, she doesn't have the option of going to go sleep with somebody else the next week. She's traumatized. Too many of you dudes, not only is she not traumatized when she left you, she's relieved. But ladies, if you're relieved, then that's because you a bummy broad and you don't qualify for better, so don't be breaking your arm, patting yourself in the back. But in any case, for many of you guys, she's relieved. But she's certainly not regretting it. She didn't have very far to fall. She just needs to go find someone else to warm her bed, or whose bed she can warm, but she didn't lose because she doesn't have you around anymore. You have to make a conscious decision that you are going to be a man of such value that if a woman does do something that mortally offends you or displeases you, she's going to lose. She's gonna lose because now she's gonna have to go to those same people that she's presented herself to as your woman and the benefits that she received, and now she's got to go explain that, man. That's hard as hell. That's like losing a job. After you done told everybody about how much better you are than them because of the job you got, you need to make sure your woman represents you. You need to make sure she gets into some arguments and some fights. You need to make sure she's got people jealous about being with you. You need to make sure that she is required to form that emotional connection. Too many of you guys are setting yourselves up from the very beginning to be disposable. Don't do that. Don't be disposable. Be the fella that she can't get by without. Be the fella that she has raised her status and that she has taken that status into the world with other people. Because now those people are going to be looking, and let's just be very, very clear. I explained this before, people. This is a unified ideology. All of it lines up. None of it contradicts itself. Remember in my program I did about side chicks, females are cutthroat. Guess what? If you're a guy who has produced, she doesn't want to have to go back to her girlfriends, family members, and explain to them about, oh, the one that got away. She doesn't want to have to explain that. Why? Because all the other females who ain't got a man, they'll be calling her up, consoling her, girl, that dude wasn't about nothing. It's a good thing you left him alone. And you all know what happens next. If you approach the friend who was talking about, yeah, it's a good thing she quit fooling with you, you know full damn well she's going to be like, oh, I'm up next. Oh, it's my turn. Well, he's available. Oh, I'm up next. Oh, it's my turn. It's my time. She knows that. She knows that. Jerry Springer and Maury Povich have made careers out of it. But she knows that. She knows that your ability to elevate her is the same ability you got to elevate somebody else. And now the friends are going to be like, oh, I know what he's working with. So, yeah, it's my turn. All of a sudden, that sisterhood flies out the damn window. There aren't any females who are willing to bet their lives on female solidarity about their exes. If their ex is valuable, there ain't no females willing to risk their lives on that. None. So stop insisting that people should bestow upon you some intrinsic value. You can have cultivated value, but divorce yourself from this ridiculous notion that you have some type of intrinsic value. You have the value with which you have created for yourself. Broke, dumb, and stupid says things like, I'm as valuable as I say I am. I understand those are the people who jump up in comment sections, but absolutely nothing is going on for them in the real world. So, congratulations, your cell phone works good enough to comment. Too bad the rest of your life isn't. If you ever want to stop being at the bottom of the barrel, stop pretending, stop fantasizing, and get back with reality. So once again, men, understand something. A woman is going to admire you if you are admired by other people. People want to know if your friends admire you, not if they like you. Notice I didn't say liked. I know I gotta break this down because some of the ADHD kids will be trying to figure out how they can get around what I'm saying. Women want to know if your friends admire you, not if they like you. She's very unconcerned about if they like you because she doesn't like you for the same reason that your friends like you. So that's not the metric she can use. Your friends may hate the fact that you don't like football, and she's like, I love the fact I'm not dealing with a sports nut. So what your friends like about you is not what she's determining. It is what they admire about you, what they look up to you for, because the amount of respect that they give you is what she expects to be transferred to her. Even if that's not actually scientifically accurate, she's expecting that to be what she receives. But inversely, minding her manners is going to be directly contingent upon what she has to lose by your presence. People, we live in a world of human beings who operate on a cost-benefit ratio analysis. They're going to look at how much it will cost them to do something, and then they're going to look at how much they benefit from it. And if she determines through her mathematical calculations that upsetting you is going to cost her much more than it will gain her, she's going to make the corresponding decision. It's not mind control. It's math. You want to know why it is that so many of these wives and girlfriends of these NBA athletes and pro athletes and business moguls and whatnot lose their damn minds? Take a look at Evelyn Lozado. Was that Dwayne Wade's former chick who was on the street corner for years trying to run his name through the dirt? We can go down the list. If they get out in public, if one of these guys claims them in public and thus elevates her status, oh, you dealing with a baller, so they know, okay, you done stepped your game up, you've elevated in the game. She's like, yeah, I'm at a new level. Next thing you know, old boy is like, yeah, I've decided to test my options for whatever reason. You're a disciplinary problem. You've gotten old. You bring too much baggage. I'm just bored. That last one is very, very rare because by definition, men seek stability. It's women who tend to jump around based on their emotions changing from day to day. But men, for the most part, when we get somewhere, we settle down. So if you're a female who talks about men leaving her, it's because she's a disciplinary problem. She refuses to accept, oh, I'm a disciplinary problem. She tells herself, well, men should accept that. Then she gets on the internet and starts rage posting in my comment section about how men are not loyal to her. Why would anybody be loyal to a disciplinary problem? You're talking stupid. In any case, these women lose their minds. Evelyn Lozado was a wildcat. She cost Chad Ochocinco Johnson his career in the NFL. Take a look at her today. She's born again for the second time. For those of you who are not aware, she's found Jesus again. This is her second time turning to religion. Now, notice when she was on TV and dudes were lined up, she didn't give a damn about religion. But as soon as the benefits disappeared and the men were like, yeah, we're good, we ain't fooling with you, all of a sudden, Jesus is my man. People, it broke her. The loss of status broke her. Not having a baller broke her. She doesn't have any accomplishments on her own. And even if she did, that doesn't raise your status as a woman. The fact that the men have made it so clear that they are so detested by what you're doing and the way in which you behave yourself that nobody wants to fool with you and no one wants to commit to you, that has psychologically broken her. She has emotionally broken. And that's the way it goes down. If you are a man of value, that's what you can expect. Evelyn Lozado is being punished right now. There's that chick on what's that, The Real, the fat one who wants to sit up here and kick dirt on black men. What's her name? Lonnie Love. She's on punishment. There are no men sitting up here jockeying for position to make her a woman who is protected and provided for. She's not a good look. She's a disciplinary problem. She's slick at the mouth. So she's talking crap about black men because nobody wants to provide for her. Oh, some jackass gonna say she got a zaddy. If things were going so good with zaddy, then why in the hell isn't she just happy with her relationship? Very clearly, he's made it clear to her that she ain't got much value with him either. So let's just be very clear about this. Fellas, you're gonna get out the game what you're putting to it. But if you don't consider it to be absolutely essential that you are admired, then just understand you've got no leverage. You have no leverage to retain a woman. You have no there is no incentive for or deterrent for her to not upset you. There's no deterrent to prevent her from upsetting you because she doesn't see very much to lose. Now, I had some questions, and this one always seems to come up from a bunch of dudes who have nothing to offer. So my answer to you is because you got nothing to offer. But the guys who talk about, well, the females today, they don't look for a leader or this, that, and the other. Fellas, this is a fact of life that for some reason it evades a lot of you. And growing up under the mammies you grew up under, you should know this by now. I say again, women don't submit to a man. You're asking remedial, redundant questions. Women don't submit to a man. They submit to a man's abilities. They submit to your abilities. Now, we live in an environment today where most of these women, well, they'll deal with a guy who is substandard. You're absolutely right. They will deal with a guy who is substandard, but that's not the female you're looking for. She's not. A lot of you are failing to be able to attract the caliber of female you're looking for because that's your goal. I mean, that's your indicator to you. Hey, fellas, that's your wake-up call. You ain't up to code yet. You're going to have to get up to code. The code isn't what you want it to be. The code is the code. Getting up to the right level is the level. The level isn't what you desire or wish it would become. The level is the level. That's it. The level is the level. You're going to have to accept that reality. And once you do, you become a player on the field. But I'm not going to give you powerless strategies. I'm going to give you power strategies. I'm going to tell you that a lot of things that you feel are just reactions to what you have encountered. You have to start being proactive, not reactive. You are going to have to understand why women do the things they do, what it is that women expect. And now that you know why they do what they do and what they expect, you are now prepared to be able to maneuver the playing field to your advantage. But that's first got to be your goal. Now, if you're one of these guys talking about you don't need women or whatever, you're on the wrong damn channel. You want a blow up doll, you want a sex toy, go find another channel. This isn't the one for you. Don't comment in my comment section. This isn't the one for you. If you're not a guy who is interested in being able to establish power dynamics in your relations with females, this isn't the channel for you. This is not the place for you. If you're a female who wishes to replicate your mother's failed male-female sexual relationship strategies, this is not the place for you. If you can't be taught, this isn't the place for you. What you find out here, this is going to be the kind of thing that changes dynamics. This is the kind of thing that changes it. But that's what you're here for, at least you should be. Now, I know a lot of misconceptions have gotten broken. I know a lot of misconceptions are being tossed aside, and I understand that. And we need that. There are a bunch of misconceptions that need to be broken. There are a bunch of misconceptions that you've been carrying around all this time. This denial among males that you can be a financial failure and yet have credibility with females, get over it. A woman is using that as a metric of whether or not you have solidified and established yourself in the world. Well, if she requires me to be a producer, I don't need no female. I agree. You should be at home with a blow-up doll and do not reproduce. Do the world a favor and do not spread your genes. Do us all a favor. You're enough of a poison and a cancer and a burden on society. Do us the favor of not reproducing. Fellas, women are not creatures who will automatically accommodate you simply because you showed up and you desire affection. A woman is a creature that you are going to have to, for lack of a better term, and I'm going to use the word domesticate. You are going to have to get her to submit. She is not going to just walk up to you doing that. Primarily because, unfortunately, so many of her sisters have raised so many bastard kids, primarily males who do not produce. So the women are going through the world. They wish to have a male who does produce, but so many of them have been conditioned not to produce. So they're frustrated about the low caliber quality of male that's out there on the average, even though most of them created the problem. So when she approaches you, or if you approach her, a lot of the time she is reacting to you from that standpoint. She's reacting to you from the standpoint. Many of them don't know what a man looks like. They don't have a clue what a producer looks like. So a lot of them are learning. I've got females who tune in here to the business and their lives are improving as a result of actually getting the real game given to them. But let's just be clear. Nobody should make the assumption that you're going to approach a female and automatically she's going to be on point. She has been raised in a society that is upside down. What makes you think you're going to approach her and everything's going to be right side up? Now, that doesn't mean you tolerate a disciplinary problem, but most women today are not going to approach you with their act together in that way as far as responding. Now, you don't let them disrespect you, but you should be under no expectation that, oh, they get it. No, they don't get it. But if enough men stop acting like hoes and sissies and get themselves together, then you've changed the landscape where the females understand, oh, these are the rules. Because let's just be very clear. All a female is really looking for is for you to identify and establish the rules. She desires stability. She is going to complain about every damn thing else, but at the end of the day, you need to be smart enough to understand she desires stability. She wants to have a status, she wants to have provision, and she wants her status and her provisions to be stable. You don't have to be rich to do that. You don't have to be wealthy, but you do have to be stable. You do have to be stable. But if you are not emotionally stable, if you have told yourself that a woman should simply accept you for what you are, even if what you are ain't much, then just be aware you're going to spend a lot of time whining and moaning and complaining. But you're going to be doing it to yourself because we'll just block you here and the females aren't listening to you and there are no men who want to spend time around you. So if you think you're going to come in my comment section and be like, well, hell, finally I found some people who will listen. Nah, it won't work that way either. Block. You're going to have to produce before anyone wants to listen to you. A man who is not admired is going to be a man who struggles to get female compliance, struggles and fails. And you should be. You have nothing to offer her. Her life will not improve. 'Cause yours isn't. If you are new here to our channel, The Business, welcome. This is something that I created so that I could discuss social status, so I could discuss how you can empower yourself as an individual, so I could focus on empowering yourself as an individual socially in male-female relations, so I could go long form into it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you definitely want to. We got a good number of people who have subscribed so far, and they really are upset with me because I haven't really promoted this on my other YouTube channels, but that's okay. We're dealing with this here. I wanted to have this opportunity to address this tonight, and I want to thank everyone who has subscribed to the channel. And if you are new here and this is your first time showing up or whatever, go through the archive and listen to those videos there. You're going to find a lot of analysis and insights that you haven't been given before. It is time tested and true. It's something that you can use in the real world. We don't sell you on mystical notions. We don't sell you on tantrums. We don't sell you on immaturity. We're in the real world. We are dealing with you as adults. If you really want to elevate yourself, that's what you insist on. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. We broadcast intermittently. Like I say, it's not a regular basis. Maybe one of these days it will be. But definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can at least get notifications or whatever if we post anything here. Definitely glad to have you with us. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.